Hey everyone, it's Wednesday, time for Wisdom Wednesday. Hope you're out there doing well. Today I thought I would address sodas and how that can be a problem. And we'll look at it from the perspective of just regular sodas, which would include all colas and even clear sodas, as well as diet drinks. For those of you like me who back in the 70s and 80s, we were drinking Tab, and then when Diet Coke came out, it just was revolutionary for us, but had no idea at that point in time that the reality of diet sodas is that people typically don't tend to lose weight even on that, and actually I'll show you in a little bit about the fact that people who drink diet sodas actually gain weight. So let's just dive in here about drinking any type of soda in general. Of course, the amount of sugar in a soda is fairly significant, usually between 37 39 grams of sugar in a typical can of Coke or Dr. Pepper or even Sprite. And when you have even one of those on a regular basis, which most people don't have just one a day, many have many per day, it increases your risk for diabetes up to 67%. It can also be related to people developing different types of skin rashes. There is a brominated vegetable oil used in these particular products, and these can have been chemically linked to rashes as well as just some types of nerve disorders. This is brominated type of oils just are irritating to not only the lining of the esophagus, but the lining of the nose, the mouth, and stomach all together, and can, over time, perhaps even long-term exposure can result in some types of neurologic symptoms, headaches, memory loss, impaired balance, coordination, etc. So it's not without some long-term risk potential. It also increases aging, and there's phosphoric acid, the phosphate in there can contribute to lung disorders and problems with coughing and phlegm and shortness of breath, but also has been related to possible bone loss in folks that are experiencing issues with osteopenia, osteoporosis. It's also been shown that a can of soda a day can increase triglycerides significantly, which then increases your risk for diabetes, insulin resistance, therefore cardiovascular disease. So there's been some long-term studies that have shown, particularly in the Framingham study, that people who drink sodas do have significant increased risk of high triglycerides, which then because of, we've talked about this over the last several years about triglycerides being one of those things that is, once that has been absolutely concentrated in the blood, ultimately the body cannot make any more, and then blood sugar starts to go up. So a significant risk of heart disease as well as diabetes, which then increases risk for stroke as well. And then lastly, some of the dyes in there that can be really problematic as far as that caramel effect, the artificial coloring and the caramelization of some of the syrups are very problematic for just developing teeth erosion and overall problems with health in general, that it's just poor on gut health and the microbiome. So now when we look at sugar versus regular sodas versus diet sodas, we all thought that switching to something with less sugar might be of benefit, but it still tells the body that there is sugar there, and it drives people generally to eat. When they've looked at some of the research that folks using these artificial sweeteners, it causes the brain to react very similar to how it reacts with sugar, and therefore it pushes us to consume even more calories and over time increases total body mass index and weight. It increases the types of issues, just like with sugar, it can increase insulin resistance and therefore can also contribute to diabetes, which seems so counterintuitive. But the reality is, because it drives appetite and drives increase in caloric intake, this can be a real problem overall. And people don't tend to just drink one. You know, this is, a lot of people use that as their caffeine fix for the day and tend to drink it throughout the day and just totally never drink just straight water and drink that totally as their source of fluid intake and hydration, form of hydration. There has been a study going on since 1976, this Nurses Health Study, and they recruited over 10,000 nurses, over 100,000 nurses, that is ongoing. In fact, we have a patient in our practice who is still part of this, and it's fun to get updates on that. But they're finding links with diet soda consumption and adverse cardiovascular reactions, increase in weight gain, and other studies are showing increased risk of stroke, even with sucralose and stevia, and it doesn't seem to make any difference. It still tells the brain that sweet is coming in, and therefore the body responds in that way as well. When you look at people who drink 24 ounces, they did a study with looking at people drinking 24 ounces of diet soda versus the same amount of water. And over the time period of this study, the folks drinking the diet soda gained 14 pounds and the people that just drank water lost 5.5 pounds. It's a huge, significant difference, which again seems so counterintuitive when we're looking at diet soda, so to speak, or Coke Zero, or any of the other ones. And it's not to say that you can't have any of these things, but to use it as your sole source of hydration is really problematic. And if you're doing that, you probably already know it doesn't really contribute to weight loss in any significant fashion. The other thing to be mindful of is that if you're drinking something like this all day long, there is caffeine in there for many of those darker sodas. So just be mindful of that. And like I said, the phosphoric acid in there may contribute to bone loss. So none of these drinks are really certainly health beneficial in any shape, form, or fashion, and we know that. So it's really important that we use good, judicious thinking in how we want to approach having a soda. Maybe having a soda, once every 2 or 3 weeks, or just on special occasions, is fairly harmless. But to utilize that as a sole source, which a lot of people do, and a lot of people start every day with a soda, these really are contributing to a lot of overall health issues and not contributing to health. And it's our role here to really help everyone understand how to create health and not sabotage our health. So I hope this has given you some insight into the potential harms that drinking soda can bring, whether it's regular soda with 38 grams of sugar in it versus even a diet soda. You guys have a great week, and we'll talk again next week.